Hi everyone, welcome to the video. In this one we're going to be talking about scraping artwork, showing a demo of how to do it inside RetroBat, but then also there's a third-party tool I like to use which will allow you to do it for RetroBat and other systems like Batocera, Recallbox, etc., and other systems or other front ends that use EmulationStation. So that's kind of a bit more, I guess, in depth. But initially the scraping that's included in RetroBat should be pretty much cover everyone's needs. So we'll go through this first, and it's quite easy to use as well. So if you go into the main menu and come down, you've got a separate scraper section. So you've got some options where to scrape from. The default is ScreenScraper. I think that's probably the best one. There's a few other options here. They're all kind of, I believe they're free to use. So I'm not sure whether with this one, yeah, you don't need an account. You can just use it. Same for this one here. Basically tell it what you want to download, and I think the same. Oh, sorry, I'll go back. Same for RKDB. The difference is obviously ScreenScraper, like I say, is probably the best one. But if you go into settings, you will actually need to provide an account, username and password. So it's completely free to set up. Before I do that, I'll just go through. This is what I use in the build at the moment. So basically, you can say for the image source. So this is basically when let's pick a game. So you can just see there the image that pops up here before the video starts playing. That's what's known as the default image. So when you go into your scraper and you're telling it what's the image source, so for me I want screenshots, so that for that main first image for the game I want a screenshot. Like I say, you can change it to title screenshot. You can do mixes as well, where it kind of pulls together multiple images, or you can have the box or fan art, etc. But I tend to go for screenshot. And then the box source, so where you've got a theme that shows the actual box artwork for a game. Also you can have it turned off, or you can have 2D or 3D. 3D probably looks better, but I think more 2D versions exist, so you're going to get more artwork in 2D format than 3D format. And then there's logo source, and for that I set that to marquee, which always slightly confuses me, because to me the marquee is the kind of rectangular artwork that sits at the top of the arcade cabinet, and I know you can use that in some front ends, whereas to me the wheel is the kind of transparent logo you see, but it works with marquee. So just to show what I'm talking about there. So when you actually go into a wheel, these logos here on the left hand side, these are the game logo, and what EmulationStation, RetroBat, etc. Basically refer to as the marquee. So that's what we're talking about there. And basically you can tell it what you want to scrape for a logo source, and for me I set marquee. So then you've got preferred region. So obviously the games are released globally, or majority of them are released globally, and you can tell it what artwork. So if there's a European version of the artwork for a game and the American version or Japanese version, you can basically give it your preference, tell it which one you want to use, and then there's a whole other bits and pieces. So when it scrapes, will it overwrite the names of what it's matched in the scraper? Will it overwrite a description that's pre-existing? Do not overwrite any media, and that one I generally turn off, because if media looks good, then I don't really want to sort of waste time and effort overwriting it. It may be that if you're scraping a particular system and the media isn't great, you might want to turn that on and overwrite it and scrape some new media for it, but generally leave that off. And these are other things you want to scrape for. So obviously to make the theme look as nice and attractive as possible, you can turn all these extra bits on. So community ratings, basically no number of stars that people have rated it, or with a rating out of 10. And a video snap, obviously. So video snaps, obviously when the game plays, I think pretty sorry, when you you can see it playing in the background here. So these video snaps is basically what it's referring to. Obviously they make the theme look a lot nicer when you've got a video snap for each game, but obviously they take a bit more space, because a static piece of artwork would be sort of a few K, whereas a video is going to be a couple of meg, and obviously they soon add up the more and more you get, the bigger collection you've got, those videos are going to add up. So you can choose to turn those off if you want to. And then fan art is kind of, as it says, it's kind of fan-made art that appears in the background. And I don't tend to have that turned on because it looks quite nice. It's a bit different. You can also use a scraper to download bezels for a particular game. I've got it turned off at the moment because as part of the build, there's bezels already included, so we don't necessarily need that. The box backside, I tend to turn that off just because I don't think there's many themes that show it, and it's just going to take up more space, so I have to normally turn that off. Map you can choose to turn on, so for some games, obviously I don't remember, like the old probably more the sort of home computer type games would come with a fold out map in the box. If it was a adventure type game, you might have that, and there's obviously scanned in PDF versions of these, or image version of these that you can scrape for a game if you choose to. The manual, I have it turned on by default, so obviously it's not going to exist for every single game, but for a lot of games they have a scanned PDF version of the manual that you can refer to. And if I'm honest, I've probably never ever read one or referred to one or looked at it, but I guess it's handy to have there just in case. But obviously again, they're PDF files. They might be a meg or a couple of meg each, so they do take up more space, so you can always turn that off. Pad to key I leave turned on, so this is basically, and probably cover it in a separate video, but pad to keys is a little utility that's included in RetroBat. It's basically where you've got a system that primarily just uses the keyboard for its input. You can actually map buttons on your gamepad to a key on the keyboard. So you can use your gamepad to play the game. You might have your D-pad mapped to the up, down, left, right arrows on the keyboard, so you can move around and that kind of stuff. And obviously there are some pre-configured ones which people have made for particular games, so you can choose to grab those if they're available. And then also I say at the bottom you just need your user account details. So it's free to use, it's ScreenScraper. So here's the website, obviously put everything in the description, and you just come up here and click to register, which I've already done, and it'll give you a bunch of information here, and you basically generate username and password. So obviously this is completely free to use, and I'm pretty sure for the free account you get something like 20,000 scrape requests per day, which for most people should be enough. I mean, unless you're scraping a whole massive collection from scratch, obviously it'll take a few days, or you can choose to donate, which obviously I recommend doing. They took a lot of hard work going into this, and it's probably one of the best ones out there. So like I say, it's just $1 or €1, depending on what you go for a month, and that increases your number of scrapes to 50,000, and you get a little badge when you log in to say that you're bronze. Or for €2 you become silver. You still get the same number of scrapes, but I think the only benefit is you then get, I'm a silver contributor rather than bronze, so you look more impressive when you're on the forums or whatever. And then it jumps up to £5 or €5, sorry, $5, and then you jump up there to 100,000 scrapes, but also an extra thread. And what that means is by default you'll have a single thread, so you can basically make one request at a time. So basically it will scrape the first game, scrape its logo, scrape its marquee, scrape its image, scrape its video, and kind of do that sequentially, one at a time. If you then get an extra thread, it means you can do two at a time, so in theory doubles the speed of how quickly you can scrape it. And then when you jump up to €10 or $10 a month, you get 5 extra threads. Still 100,000 requests, which is, I guess, probably more than enough for most people. But then you get 5 extra threads, so you've got 6 threads, so you can basically scan stuff and scrape stuff really quickly. Obviously, that's completely optional. Like I say, you create a free account, you can use this completely free, but you'll be limited. I'm not sure it's 20,000, something like that. So yeah, you create an account on there. Once you've got your details, come back into to RetroBat and enter the details there. And then when you actually go to scrape something, you can pick the systems to include. By default here it's picked every single system, but you can go through, much like similar menu for other options in RetroBat. You can either go select all, or you could do select none and just go and pick a system. And obviously it's doing that because we're in the main menu, but if we go into an actual system, then go into the menu, then go to scrape, it automatically scrapes or selects just this one system, so which is handy. You don't have to go through and pick it. If you want to scrape just one system, go into its wheel menu first and then select scrape, and then you'll just do that system. But like I say, back on the main menu you can do everything. Obviously that's going to take a while depending on the size of the collection, but basically a couple of options here. So what to scrape for, so you can say just scrape everything. You can say only scrape games that are missing any media. So if you've got a game that's got most of the media scraped but just missing the video, this will scan that one. Or the other option, I guess, is the one does the less work. Is so if there's any games that have been added that have got 0 media at the moment, so they're a brand new game you've added, you can say just scrape those ones for me. So just to kind of help you save some time rather than scraping your whole collection every single time. And I tend to use this one because I might add something, but want to rescrape just in case there's some artwork been added since last time I scraped. That's handy. And then also you can say ignore stuff that I've scraped recently. So if I've scraped it within the last day or the last week, ignore it. Or you can say no and it'll just scrape everything, depending on whether, even if you scraped it 5 minutes ago, it'll still scrape it again. And like I say, this is the system to pick. And then when you're ready, just hit scrape now and it'll go through and it'll do the scrape. I'll do it quickly here. And you see it goes up into the top corner there and just says scraping. Then when it's finished, you basically have to go to the game settings and you do update game lists. Just gets it to refresh, because what it's actually doing there is going off and scraping the artwork, downloading anything it needs to into the folders, and then everything is written to the game list.xml inside each ROM folder. So there, the Sega 32X, the game list.xml will be updated, and basically that game list XML holds a list of all the games and all the artwork, which I will show you quickly now, just so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's go to that 32X. It's a bit confusing because in the system it's listed at the top for 32X, but the actual folder is 32X. So anyway, so all the images by default go into this images folder, and they all have a suffix on the end, so it's -bezel or -fan art or image or marquee for the logo, thumb for the box, etc. So they're all in there, and obviously the game name matches the name of the ROM. Videos are in a separate folder, and they're -video on the end. And then manuals go in here, so it's all the PDFs, and then they have -manual on the end to help organise them. And then, like I say, all that information is written to this game list XML. So you can come in and, if you want to, modify this manually if you need to. So basically, like I say, for each game. So here's our game ID. So game starts here and finishes here. So all this is for that one single game for Afterburner. So here's the whole section. So you basically got the name. So that's the name it appears. Path is the actual ROM. The name is the name as it appears on the menu. Description is the description you see at the bottom of the screen, and then it tells it, okay, the image for it is in the images folder and it's called this. The video is in the videos folder and it's called this. And then you've got the marquee and the thumbnail, the fan art. I've got under extras, we've got a screenshot, I've got a mistake there, got two slashes. I've obviously done this one manually at one point. And then the manual is there, bezel, etc, etc, all that kind of information. And then the other metadata it's scraped for things like its rating, release date, who's the developer, who's the publisher, what genre it is, what family of game, number of players, all that kind of good stuff. There's MD5 hash there to basically identify it, the language, what regions, etc, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is where you can see all the information gets put in, and obviously there's a reference to ScreenScraper there, so it knows that it was scraped from ScreenScraper on this particular date. And then you move on to the next game, and so that's what the game list contains. It just tells it all the details about the game, where to find the artwork. So that's what RetroBat or EmulationStation reads when you load up that wheel for that particular game. So that's kind of scraping inside RetroBat. It's nice and easy. All the settings, it's all kind of there for you, puts it into the right folder, and away you go. Now there might be some cases you want to scrape some stuff manually, or you just want to play around with it, or there might be some missing stuff that you want to scrape. Obviously, like I say, you've got these 4 sources in here. ScreenScraper does pretty much everything. I think the others, obviously, I think these ones are more sort of arcade-based scraping. Not sure about this one, but like I say, ScreenScraper probably covers the most systems. But what we'll do is Just come out of here for now, and we'll just close this down, go back to where I was. I had a little test folder set up. So like I say, we've got ScreenScraper here. Once you create an account, you can, if there's some stuff missing, you could go in here and have a look manually. So you can go in here, you can see all the platforms they support. So in the demo in a minute, I'm going to use NES. So if we went to NES, for example, so this is the actual platform artwork. So all the different, I guess, logos and artwork for the actual system itself that you can put onto the wheel. You know, pictures of the system itself, and like a, you know, an actual picture and a sort of, I guess, an artwork version of it, and the controller and all different bits and pieces, you know, even like the box and stuff like that, and a video as well, which I think plays in the window. So this is like a system video, which should probably show, yeah, just like a collection of games. So there's that, and then for the artwork for the actual games themselves, again, that's up here. You can come in and, let's, for example, let's go to MAME. Just like I say, you can go through the alphabet, list all the games. It tells you, okay, here's the game, here's the information about it. Like and we have a video snap, we have the wheel icon, the logo, we have screenshot, we have title, we have box art, all that kind of stuff. And you see there's some that's missing still, so there is some stuff still to be filled out. But for example, we can go and click on this game now, and we'll see screenshot, title shot, all that kind of stuff. The video snap for it, which will play there. And then all the various artwork. See this, there's some missing. The wheel logo, different types of logos. So yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. And you can see like here, because it's an arcade machine, it didn't really, you know, the box artwork doesn't really exist. So ScreenScraper, the team themselves, have created one, basically using this little template and the little logo on it, etc. Same here for the box back. So, and also you can come in here and just click on these and just download them manually if you want to. But like I say, generally with RetroBat, you can do it all through there. So that's kind of it for RetroBat and using the ScreenScraper. Then there is obviously another option if you want to do stuff more manually and have more control. This is a tool, external tool I use. It's, you know, called ARRM. It stands for, not quite this, but another. I think originally it was another recall box and ROM manager. That's what it stands for. But like it says here, it supports recall box, Batocera, RetroPie, RetroBat, EmulationStation, etc. So some videos on it here as well. There's probably some screenshots further down. It does probably look a bit daunting at first when you look at the screenshot. There's so many different options in here, but as you can see, it can scrape from all these sources. So it can do ScreenScraper, and it can do multi-thread as well. So like I say, if you've got a paid account on there, you can, you know, do multiple thread scraping to be a lot quicker. But it can also query things like the Launchbox database, GamesDB. So a couple of these are the ones that are in RetroBat already, but things like Steam and GOG and Moby Games and all that kind of stuff. So it can scrape multiple sources, and like I say, once it's pulled in, you'll see this in a minute, but you can basically point at your ROMs folder. It'll list all the games it can find and the information that it can read out of your game XML, and which again is shown here. So you can use this to go in and modify all that information that's in the XML. Rather than doing the XML manually, you can go in and do it all here, as well as obviously scraping and tweaking and doing things like this, creating a mixed image, so it has a screenshot and box artwork and logo all in one image, etc. But we'll show how to set this up. So I guess this is a bit more advanced. So, but let's start talking about it and actually go and install it. So I'll leave the link in the description. By default, I believe the page comes up in French because the guys are French that do it, but there's a option here to translate, and I'm pretty sure for me Chrome pops up and says, I've detected, do you want to translate to English? It does it to English by default, which is handy, but just in case, make sure you change that to your preferred language. I mean, in here you've got, yeah, you can change it to a bunch of different languages so it's easy to read. So basically, yeah, we scroll down this list, a whole bunch of information, talks pretty much about what I've just said. Yeah, there's different stuff or different sources that it's scraped from. So all the way down here, so here's the links to download. So there's an installer version which will do it all for you, but I'm going to do the manual version just so you can see, I guess, a bit better how it installs and where it puts stuff. So the link here for the version without installer. It says manual copy, so we're just going to grab that. I think I did get it already actually. I'll create a folder on temp. Yeah, I do have it there already, so I'm not going to do it again. Actually, that's one pointing at the setup rather than the so I think what you have to click here, and it kind of takes you round again. Yeah, so version without the installer takes you to a very similar looking page, but I think the detail at the top has just changed. But I think all this still looks the same, so it looks like you're going in a circle, but you're not. So now if you scroll down here, you'll now find this link now points, see the bottom of the screen here, points to the executable without installer. So I'll grab that. There we go. So now we're grabbing the right one. So once you've got that, it's not a massive download, just over nearly 600 meg. So it's going to open this. I've got obviously 7-zip. So what I'm going to do is just right click and say extractor there. Doesn't take too long. Okay, that's done. So I'm just going to rename this folder it's extracted to ARRM, just for neatness. Now, so it's got the files in here, and it's got a couple of folders here you need to put into certain locations for it to work. So under desktop, this is basically where all the shortcuts are. So if you want to put the shortcuts onto your desktop, feel free to move that, but I'm going to leave them there for now. There's some stuff that needs to go into your Windows profile directory, and stuff that goes into program files. But handily, they've got little shortcuts here. So here's a shortcut to your desktop where you can drop it into. There's a folder here to move this to, so I'm going to right click, cut this, and that needs to go to this location. So like I say, it's my profile, and then app data and roaming. I'm just going to paste that in there, and then use the back button, and then program files. So within program files, there's this Nouvelle Soft, so I'm just going to cut that as well. Go into x86, right click over here and paste. So it's a system location, so it's going to ask to prompt. See, I did have it before. I've renamed the old folder because I've have set up in the past. So I want to do this as a fresh install. So that's now done. Let's go on the back button to go back to where we were. And now we can use the shortcuts to launch it. So there's 32-bit version if your machine only supports 32-bit, and I think this one fixes it. If you've got resolution of 1080, makes it easy to read. And there's two versions here. One I think again starts it best on a 1080 resolution, but if you've got a high resolution than that, just go for the standard one, like I have. Just can take a couple of seconds while it starts for the first time. It's just doing a couple of bits. I'm trying to drag it around while it's busy. So here we go. Here is the main screen. Like I say, it probably is a bit daunting at first. There's so many different buttons and options and different tabs, and it's just like probably a bit scary. But a lot of it you probably won't need to use initially. You might want to explore stuff later on, but certainly straight away you probably don't need to worry too much. So the main thing to do first is go into settings, and see that this has actually remembered, even though it's a fresh install, it's remembered, so it's obviously written this somewhere. Looking at where my ROMs folder is. So but at a test, you basically first tell it where your ROMs are. So yeah, it's looking at the actual sort of build location, but I have got on my C drive got a RetroBat folder, and what I've done under here is just create a ROMs folder and NES and drops like 10 games into it. So I'm going to say, okay, my ROMs folder is here. That's going to change, and then the bezels folder. I mean, most stuff when you hover over, it tells you where to look, and then for RetroBat it says point it at the RetroBat folder. So I'm just going to click on the dots here, but I'll go back to my test one, RetroBat. So that's basically the first step. In the front end here, you tell it what front end you're scraping for. Again, you've got a little question mark there. You can click on that, and it'll bring up that section on the website, which is nice and handy. So front end choose. So it basically, once you pick the particular front end you're using, there's some certain options that are specific to that, or certain ways the artwork's formatted for that particular front end, or the way the game lists are used, etc. So always handy to pick the right one. So I'm pretty sure if you untick stuff, it defaults to there, and if you tick RetroBat, it does Batocera as well. That's pretty much, I think, because they both use EmulationStation, so their usage is pretty identical. Obviously, RetroBat's for Windows, Batocera is its own Linux operating system. So make sure that's ticked like that. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of other options in here that you can set. Also, you can pause the video and have a look at my settings if you want to copy them. I don't think there's much else to set in here. If we go to folders, so again, it's remember my previous set. I was going to set this up from scratch, but remember my previous settings. So because we're using RetroBat, and the default for RetroBat is to put everything into the images folder and then put a suffix on the end, like I showed you a minute ago for the Sega 32 folder, where you had the hyphen image, the hyphen marquee on the end. This is where you can tell ARRM to do that. So pretty much everything goes into the images folder, apart from manuals going to manuals and videos going to videos. I think there's music as well, which I don't normally download, but you can have like music for the actual game to go. If you've got a front end that will play music for a particular game, you can do that. I don't believe RetroBat does that, but anyway, I've set it to music for now, so it goes in a separate folder. And then so everything's got a like I say, a suffix on the end, which is the standard for RetroBat. There's stuff around the track mode which you probably don't need to worry about. There's all stuff here around bezels, etc. That's specific to Batocera. But basically, it's this main bit here is telling it put everything in the images folder so it matches what RetroBat is expecting. Scrape options. Like I say, you got only present on mission artwork, so you can tick that box if you want to just look for missing stuff, but I tend to leave that off when I'm doing it manually in here. So image as ROM file, so that is a standard for RetroBat again, so the image artwork will match the name of the ROM. So if the ROM is, I don't know, Sonic the Hedgehog, the artwork will be Sonic the Hedgehog hyphen marquee or hyphen image or hyphen thumb, etc. And again, that is what RetroBat is expected to find. Add language. So this is if it scrapes the game, it can write that language into the game list, which is what we saw. I think we saw it down here, didn't we? There's, language is English, so it can basically write into the information what language it is. So I'm probably not going to go through every single one, but these are the things I've got ticked. Stuff under image options. Again, you just tick what you want it to download. So I want to get most things. I want to get the video, the manual, map I'm doing in here, fan art, title shot, not bothering the box back or the hyperspin theme or extra bits and pieces, but getting the standard screenshot box, wheel and cartridge as well. And this is the thing about the mix template I was talking about, where you can actually have a single image that mixes some of these artwork together into a single image, which I've seen some people use, but I tend to have them all separate. Configuration files. This is like changing the default, so I wouldn't worry about going in here. So yeah, like I say, the main thing is this bit here, where to store the artwork once you scrape it, and what suffix to put on the end of it. And then the scrape options really of what to scrape for, or how to scrape, and then again specifically around the images. So once you've got that set, and obviously up here you can change your language, probably the first thing to change if you need to. Once you've set all that, you can then go to your database here, and then we will, I think we do this refresh. Was it display. So it's not picking up anything. It should pick up because I've told it to go there. You click confirm, then you can click open. Yeah, so I've got a NES folder and it's got some games inside it, so that should be picking up. So let's confirm path. Oh, there you go. It's there now. Maybe sorry, maybe I missed a step. Maybe you have to click confirm path to tell it yes. Tell it to go ahead. Okay, so obviously you're doing again a RetroBat Build. You have a whole bunch of folders in here, but I've just got the NES in there for the moment. And you can pick which ones to actually display. So there's only one to pick. So select all and then click display. So now it's going to have a quick look in that folder. So here's the 10 games I've got. So it's just doing some checking. I'll look inside the folder. Go with that for a minute. You can see now it's created a game list XML. So the first thing it's done is read all these and then put them into the XML. We haven't actually scraped anything yet. It's just so we should be able to have a quick look at that XML. It should be fairly empty, I'd imagine. Yeah, it's just create an empty XML ready because we haven't scraped anything. So I've got each game here. I've got this little box pops up and it will show you in here all the media you've got for each game, which I'll just get rid of for a moment. So now we've got the games loaded. We've pointed at the folder. It's looked for anything that's .nes, .zip or .7zip, and also your game should probably be standard extension, but you can go in here and change the extension. So it'll go in. Here's the text file, which holds everything. So if you scroll down the big old list and find NES, see it's looking for those 3 extensions. You can add your own one if you need to or have to. You shouldn't need to, but it's an option. So now basically the interesting bit is at the bottom you've got the different things to scrape from, and I'm pretty sure somewhere I should need to put in my details. My details for ScreenScraper, my ID and password. So again, this game list tab I didn't cover before, but this is where you can tell it what to write into the game list. You know, and obviously all the artwork you want it to be written in, and things like back up the old game list first, in case something goes wrong during the scrape. You've then got a copy of the original game list, and use the temporary one while it's scraping as well, in case again something goes wrong. It can recover. So you don't need to change anything in there really. Make sure that all those are ticked even. But yeah, somewhere in here, maybe it's configuration files. I'm sure there was an option to enter your credentials. Let's check ScreenScraper. Maybe it'll do it for me. Maybe it'll just prompt when I first do it. Oh, big box there, look. I knew it was somewhere. So my ID, my password. Hopefully we get it right. You can check identifier. Oh, I'm pretty sure that worked. There you go. So we're all good. So the download speed is limited for the free version, with a free account. Yeah, so 20,000 scrapes a day. That's what I thought. So you can go in here and check, and it will show you how many you've done. So at the moment I've done 0. So you can actually see how close you're getting to your limit. And validation just closes it. So now we are ready to scrape. Like I say, I think ScreenScraper is the only one you need the account for. I don't think you need account for these other ones. But like I say, if we now go ScreenScraper, you'll see the little progress down here where it's processing, scanning, basically working. I only had one game picked, that's why. So it's done the one game. You can see here for Battletoads, here's all the artwork and stuff that it's found. Just hide that. And then on the right hand side here, you've got the name, you got the description, this rating, all that kind of stuff is filled in. And then I don't think at this point, so it creates the temp. Just sort this by name. It creates the temp game list while it's working. So it's written to there. It hasn't written to there yet. I don't think it doesn't actually write to there until if you deselect it to say you're finished with it. I think at that point is when it writes to the game list. So let's have a quick look in here. No, hasn't done it yet. Tell a lie. I always thought that when you did that, when it saved it, maybe I haven't ticked the right option. Yeah, so it is blank. Let me just check. Backup old game list, auto save game list. So when you quit the application or when you change to a different system. Maybe it's going on one, yeah, so if I was in here and I unticked NES and then ticked a different system, it would at that point then save the game list, or if I close the application it would save the game list. Okay. Like I said, I only had one tick before, so get rid of that. You can say select all or select none, or you can filter and say only pick games beginning with A or whatever, you know, so you can do some at a time. But I've only got 10, so I've done select all. Let's do ScreenScraper again quickly. This time on all games. Should take a bit longer. So you see it down here, scraping and saving. If I look inside the images folder, you can see them all appearing as it's scraping. I'll just drag that up a little bit. You can see it through going finding stuff. It's basically scraping each game, and you'll see here, so the actual default image, what it's actually doing is creating a mix image by default, which I don't tend to use, though some people like. So you can see it's done like a screenshot with a logo with a 3D box art. It looks pretty good, but it's like I don't tend to use them, so I might change that. Let's let this finish. This is why I left it at 10 games, so it would hopefully be a bit quicker. Okay, so that's finished. So if I now click, I think I'll do select all, create the game list. I'll say yeah, just go and overwrite that one. Yeah, want to replace it. Like I say, we'll do this bit automatically if you switch to a different system or close the app, but you can force it. So now if I look in the root here, it's create these temporary ones that you can also go back to if you need to. But now my game list XML should be a bit bigger. Yeah, so like I say, here's Battletoads, here's the name, description, all the kind of metadata around release date, developer, all that kind of stuff, and then all the images. So we've got everything in the images folder, except apart from videos, is in its own videos folder with a hyphen image, hyphen wheel, hyphen marquee, etc. So that's all working nice. The only thing that is doing that I probably normally turn off is the mix image, which is here. So I think if I go into settings, so the full image thing is basically gets you the basic artwork. Scrape options. See, this is what it's doing. Oh, there we go. Okay, so for the image that's the hyphen image, so the main thing, I would change that to screenshot rather than the other bits and pieces. So excellent. So that's changed now. So what I can do is, I don't know, just rescrape another game where it will replace it. So let's do Battletoads, and then we'll do a scrape on just that one game. Yeah, so say images you can see now has changed to just the screenshot, which is good, and that would have actually replaced in here. See my hyphen image, Battletoads Double Dragon hyphen image is just a screenshot, which is what I want, which matches what we've got in RetroBat. So that is pretty much it of how, how to use this and how to do basic scraping. And then, like I say, there is, if we look in here, you can see every single game has got pretty much all the artwork, all the metadata. This one's missing a manual. Some don't have the region, but like I say, if you really want to, you can come in here and you can do these manually. So bubble in here, so we don't have the region, do we? I believe we've got region, so you could say, okay, well that's Europe. Type it in manually like that. Do you have to click save or something? Yep. So now if you go bubble, we now have the region in there. So you can go through and change all this manually if you want to, fill in some stuff that's missing, and click on save, and then away you go. So I think that's kind of like the basics, like I say. And obviously for ScreenScraper you'd use, if you're paid and you've got a high enough tier to have multi-thread, you'd use that. And then for things like Launchbox we can do the same. So let's pick just like one game and do Launchbox. I think obviously these have all got artwork, so what I'll do is basically wipe that out and do it again, but with Launchbox. So let's unselect that. Let's close. So let's basically select everything and just unselect the games. That and delete. So we're basically back to scratch now. So we go back into here, go to ARRM. The shortcuts are in here. Let's just launch the 1080 version. Because I think it just launches in a different size window. He says. It does say here this screen doesn't close, use Alt Tab. Oh. Right, so yeah, running that 1080p shortcut makes it a lot bigger, which you can't probably see now because it's cut off and I can't actually grab and resize the box. That's only one thing, that it kind of sets the size of the app. You can't scroll, can't drag it around. So I'll just close that and launch the other one because it fits better on screen. There you go. So it opens up. You can't grab it and drag it. You can move it around, but you can't resize it, because you'll see on this size on screen it's gone off the screen slightly. So anyway, so if I pick my systems, click display, it's now going to read the games. So I've got 10. So let's pick the first one. Just give it a second to sort itself out, load everything. Pick the first one, and let's pick launch box this time to scrape with this one. Found nothing. Didn't work. It doesn't. So you find different scrapers are better for different games. Obviously nothing there. The games DB. Let's go on this one. Just found the game time, and then this scraper works a little bit different in the fact that with ScreenScraper it matches it quite well. Where with this one and a couple others sometimes they can find more than one match for a game. In this case, it's found one, so I'm not quite sure what to pop this up. But actually, no, there's an option. I remember there's an option now. You can turn this on and off. But this one, so this is good for filling in gaps. So you'd probably do ScreenScraper to do the main scrape, and then when you've got some gaps that are missing, use something like this, and it'll pop up this manual browser and say, right, I found this game. Here's all the stuff I found for it. Here's the artwork. Does it look right? And you can say, yep, that's right. Select the game, and you can also pick what you want to download. Hit that, and it'll go off and download the bits and pieces. So you can see it's now found those and download. Obviously there's no video on this particular source, where ScreenScraper did have the video, and just that option there around, I think it's under scraping, wasn't it? Somewhere in here, where I can find it. That's all the images, maybe it's in here. There's definitely an option somewhere saying that if it scrapes it and only finds one matching game, like that just did, then just accept it by default. Don't prompt. But can I find it? No. Sure it's not in here. No. I'm sure it's in scrape options, but I can't see it. So what's that to confirm? Yeah, see, so for ScreenScraper you can tick a box and it'll confirm each game, so it'll pop up and say, is this right? Yes. Is this right? Yeah, like we just did. But obviously that's turned off for ScreenScraper because ScreenScraper is pretty good at matching. But I thought there was an option somewhere else to say maybe it's do the exact match only, exact search, so it'll only find something if it's an exact match. But I'll have to have a quick check and see what the other option is, because I'm sure there's an option that says, you know, don't prompt. But anyway, like I say, we'll ignore that for now. I'm sure I'll find it somewhere. So yeah, let's just do another couple. So the HFDB, see what this looks like. So I didn't find it on that one. Oh, it's busy then, sorry. So let's try the IGDB. Okay, it's found it. Okay, and gives the prompt. It's found the artwork, etc. and this, and again you can say, yep, that's the game. We can say, no, skip. Ruby Games. So the experience is pretty much the same, because it's the app itself that handles all the searching for you. It's only really if it finds a game that it can't exactly match, it'll bring up that little browse window and just ask you to confirm. But like I say, that's good for filling in gaps. ScreenScraper is all pretty much automatic. And so all these are, you literally just click on the icon for it and you'll see. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Like I say, I keep saying it, but use ScreenScraper to do the bulk of the scrape, and then you can use these to fill in any gaps, or you can obviously do it manually. You can pick a game in here and say, okay, the game is blah blah blah, and save it. You can click in the artwork. I think you can click here, or do you have to go and pick the image? You can delete artwork from here. So this is just a viewer, I think, just to show you what the current. I thought there might be an option to basically select your own artwork. Maybe there is, maybe I'm just not finding it. Yeah, you can remove artwork. You can check if stuff actually exists. So if there's stuff in your games.xml, you can actually do a check to make sure that does actually exist on disk. You see, there's a whole bunch of options in here, which probably quite scary, but you probably safely ignore. And there's getting artwork for the actual systems themselves. But yeah, and again, some more information here. That's just a shortcut to there. Okay, yeah, so these are basically shortcuts to the different tabs in here. Yeah, there's an updates tab as well here, where you can basically, it has copies of the Launchbox database and other databases that it can scan. So rather than going out to the internet and querying them, it keeps a local copy. So you can say, over donors. That's fine. There's other bits about checking ARRM update itself, which we should be okay because we should be on the latest version anyway. So that's obviously not coming back with anything. But yeah, so that's, like I say, there are a whole bunch of options, but if you just start with the basics, pick your language, point it at the ROMs folder, pick the front end that you're scraping for. Most of the stuff I think stays fairly static. This is the important one for RetroBat and Batocera. Put everything in an images folder. I've seen people before do things like put stuff into, in here you could quite easily do, say, media / images, and then here you could do media / mix, and then media / marquee, or images / marquee, if you want to do it where you've got each type of artwork in its own separate folder. But like I say, I tend to use this because this is the default that RetroBat, EmulationStation and Batocera use, is to have everything images in one folder with a suffix on, and videos in its own folder with a suffix on again. Because there's a setting actually within RetroBat that you can turn on. So if you just want to, if you manually add some artwork, that it will basically auto detect it for you, as long as it's in this format, as long as it's in that folder. So if you go down to system settings, then you've got developer options. Pretty sure it's in here. Where is it? Search for local artwork. So basically, if there's nothing for whatever reason in your in your game list.xml, and you just added a brand new system. You've already grabbed it from somewhere, and it's got a whole bunch of artwork in it already, and it's in the images folder under ROMs, and it's got, you know, the hyphen thumb, hyphen image, etc. in the right format. You can just drop it in, and then as RetroBat checks a folder, it automatically check it. So basically, yeah, if there's nothing specified in your game list, it'll look for media with the same file name. So it'll be the ROM name dash image, ROM name dash marquee. I have that turned on, it's quite handy. I think just to confirm that, if we go to the RetroBat wiki, I think there's a bit in here around our artwork, which does say, again, this RetroBat wiki, very handy. Scraping and metadata. So it basically tells you what I've just mentioned about the different sources. Default is ScreenScraper, but you need credentials. And again, link to website, and then the other ones. All the stuff that can be scraped. Scraping process. So this is basically the stuff that I mentioned. Pretty much word for word. Yeah, all images go in there, manuals go in there, videos go in there. So local media, so this is what I was saying. So if you have existing images and videos already stored, or, you know, in a ROM pack you grab from somewhere, as long as they've got, you know, name the game dash thumb dash image, which is what we've just been doing, and you put them in an images folder and a videos folder, and you turn on this option, which I just showed you, then they will automatically appear. And obviously the metadata we were just showing in ARRM, all this stuff here that you can change, you can do that through RetroBat as well. So I think not everyone knows that bit. So if you do come in here, let's go to after. No, I didn't mean to launch. Didn't mean to launch that. I meant to actually go into edit metadata. Just give it a second to load, and I'll close it. Thank you very much. Right, so rather than selecting it, you hold down the button and you get the pop-out menu from the right. So here you can view the manual, view the video, etc. A whole bunch of different options, and you can sort of do save states. You can actually delete the game itself, but obviously be careful. This deletes the game out of the list, but also deletes the actual ROM file off your hard drive. So be careful with that one. But down here you can scrape, so you can scrape an individual game as well. And you can hit select on this, and it will do the individual game. When you do the individual game, it gives you this kind of preview screen saying, right, here's possible matches. I found this one on ScreenScraper, this one on the GamesDB, and this one on HFSDB. And you can, you know, pick the one you want, and it'll download. And these little icons here show that I found an image, I found a video. That one I think is the logo, or the description maybe, and then the book is the manual. It's found as well, so you can then just click go. You can also, if it doesn't find it properly, you can go down to input and you can type the name. You know, if the name's not quite right, you can change the name to search for. So yeah, that's the other option. So you can actually do individual game scraping, which is quite handy. If you've seen something that's not been matched properly and has got the wrong artwork, you can come in here and scrape the individual game. But what I was going to actually show you in there was go down to edit the game's metadata. So this is the same as what you see in the XML, the name, the description. If you want to change the image, you can click on image, and then you can browse. You can browse around and pick the right image for it if it's wrong. And all the other stuff down here, the rating, publisher, developer, all this kind of stuff you can change. You can make it a favorite, you can hide it, and you can also make it a kids game. Again, that might be for a different video, but there's an option within RetroBat to actually go in and put RetroBat into kiosk mode, so all the controls are hidden. But there's also, you can basically display just kids games. So obviously if you want kids to play a game, you can basically pick the games that are kid friendly, you know, no violence or swearing, anything like that. But I was just going to show you this bit. So like I say, you can scrape, modify the metadata directly in RetroBat itself. So we just do description. We can come in here and say, you know, can I use the keyboard, or we can just start typing on the keyboard. We can start changing it, which I don't really want to do. So I'll just hit escape to come up here. So yeah, so that's the other option in there. And and then any changes you make, you see there, just as it exits, it saves metadata that basically writes anything you change back into the game list XML. The other thing I found that is, don't change too much metadata at one time. I've had people say to me that they've gone through like a whole system and gone through a whole bunch of games, changing the metadata, typing the description, all this kind of stuff, and then when they've come out of RetroBat and gone back in, it hadn't saved it. And that's basically because any changes you're making while you're in RetroBat are saved to memory, but they're not actually written to the file, to the game list file, game list XML, until you exit the application. And I think there must be some kind of limit. It's not published, or it's not been said what it is, but there must be a limit to how much it can store in memory before saving it. So probably do a handful of games and then save it, and then do a handful more. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. Otherwise, yeah, just there's a kid mode just to complete that. So there's like I say, there's a view option in here, and basically what the interface mode is either full, so what we've just seen, or you can put it into kiosk mode, where you can see everything, but you can only do things like change the volume and stuff. You can't delete games, you can't change the metadata, you can't flag stuff as favourites or remove stuff from favourites, all that kind of stuff, but you can play everything. So that's that's that mode. And kid mode is similar, but then only displays games that are flagged as for games for kids. So it shows like a limited view of the games, and again, you can't change any settings. You can only kind of like change the volume and shut down and that kind of stuff. And then return to full mode, you put in a key combination, which is 3 A's BA, and that'll basically put it back to normal for you. It's almost like the unlock code to go back into full mode. And again, this setting, rather than doing it through here, you can set it in the RetroBat INI. You can basically tell it 0 is the default, or change this to 1 for kiosk mode or 2 for kid mode. So probably a bit off track there, but yeah, so that's it. That's ScreenScraper. Like I say, a whole bunch of options, and a really good website here as well, with pretty much everything explained. And like I say, in the application itself, pretty much everything's when you hover over, you get a little tooltip to show you what even an example here. So media / images, everything has got like a little a tooltip to show you exactly what it does. So yeah, really nice little application. Bit daunting at first to look at it, but once you use it, it's not too bad. And obviously all the logs we're using there to scrape games, you can then click on it and it'll show you the full set of logs, rather than just watching the window scroll past. It will show you what it's been doing, what it's done, what it's scraped, what it hasn't, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that's it for the video. Like I say, I hope you found it useful. Hopefully it will help people doing some scraping if they want to add new games, or they grab a ROM pack from somewhere. I'll just save this just to let it close successfully. Just let it close, and then it might quickly just when you point it to a full RetroBat build, it'll look the same, but you'll just see that you'll have all the extra. You do occasionally get this pop-up message. You have to either wait, or if you don't, make sure it's highlighted and hit Alt F4, it'll close it. So just a little nag screen occasionally to donate, but that's fine. So yeah, if for example I now point this at the actual, if I can find it, the actual build, which is on here. ROMs. Verify that. You see now it fills out all the systems that it's found. A little bit squished, but and then you pick the ones you want. You can pick multiple. Pick the ones you want and say display. So now you can see all the Wii games are here. There's one there missing a missing image. I'll have to check that one out. But yeah, you can see it picks all of the. So if you pick more than one, this then changes to multi-systems. So basically, you do that. You can. So if you do an individual system, you can then click display, and it will show it all in here. But if you, and it will load this individual system like it just did. But if you want to do multiple systems, and you tick this, that option goes away, and you click on this, and it will then go off and do a scrape on all the systems, or those two systems, or which ones you pick. You don't get the chance to kind of sit here, kind of automates it, and it will load the first one, do a scrape, then load the second one, do a scrape. So if you want to kind of, I don't know, change some settings or change some artwork or whatever for a single system, just do a single system at a time. If you want to do like a bulk scrape, then you can just say, yeah, select all. And then if I did this now, this will run an automatic scrape using ScreenScraper on every single system, which is, you might want to do first time when you first got a collection, but if I do that now, that's going to take a long time, and obviously I've only got 20,000 scrapes, so it's going to probably go over that. Because if you think for each game, it's going to scrape. I'm not sure that every single item is a separate query, so you scrape for the name, for the description, for the rating, the developer, all the images. It's going to be like what, 20-30 requests per game, and if you've got 1,000 games, that's 20,000 requests, so that's your daily limit gone straight away. So just be careful on that one, or obviously go and pay for a pay for a paid account. So yeah, I'll just close this now. So yeah, sorry, probably quite a long video on that one, on the scraping, but there is quite a few options to it, and there's quite a few bits and pieces you can do and that kind of stuff. So hopefully this was useful. I hope there's people out there who want to sort of put their own collections together or add additional ROMs to a build and then scrape them. Like I say, the most simple thing is to do it through RetroBat, and that'll probably cover most of it for you. But if you want to be a bit more specific and pick and choose in a bit more detail which images you have for which type, and obviously modify descriptions and fill in lots of gaps. If there's gaps around descriptions and regions and ratings, that kind of stuff, you can use the ARRM tool to do that quite easily. So yeah, I think probably the last one is the other option is, so with RetroBat is Bat GUI, which I don't use that often, to be honest, but it is, you often forget it's there, but it's very useful. So it's basically a little utility that RetroBat guys have written to actually go and tweak some different bits and pieces. So we were in, where should we go? Let's go to the NES. We click on this. So this is the kind of config for the NES itself, where you've tells it where to look for all the different various ROMs and what to do when it launches and what extensions to look for. And then here's the game list. So this is quite handy. It shows you what it can see in its game list, and then you can say, okay, show me what artwork I've got for each one. And I think you can double click it, and you can come in here, and again you can start typing, so you can edit it in here as well. And again, you can do the same thing to get the kids game all hidden. You can change all this. You can change for the images. You can change that. And it's extended as well, so there's, you can basically manually set last played, all that, and play count, all that kind of stuff. You could, and then when you're done, you hit save and close. But I'm not going to. You hit cancel. So this is another way of editing the artwork, and so there's multiple. There's through RetroBat itself. You can manually modify the games list XML in Notepad or Notepad++. You can do it in Bat GUI here. You could do it in ARRM. It's basically, I guess, just preference. Other bits, while we're in Bat GUI, I know we're over an hour now, but RetroBat.ini. So the ini file in the root sets a few different things, but you can basically tick them in here. Basically tell it whether to launch full screen or not, whether to play an intro video. You basically turn off the exit menu. So if you've got this running like sort of kiosk mode, you want people closing it down. Game list only is where if you've got a large collection, it can take, depending on speed of your hard drive, it can take a little while to load up RetroBat, 'cause it goes through and checks all the ROMs exist. If you tick this box, it will just read what's in the game list, and it will presume that what in the game list is accurate and those ROMs do exist, and it will just load them from that without checking. Which obviously, if you're not going to not tweak or change your build is done. Builds are very rarely completely done, they're always kind of being tweaked, I guess, and added to. But yeah, if it's completely done, you can tick that, and then the other thing you need to, if you do then add some new games, you need to untick it, because it will then allow it to find and discover those new games. Let's just close that. Marquee manager, I think, was a manager. I think for the marquee, I think it's more for people that have got systems where they've got a digital marquee to display the marquee. I haven't used that before. This is all around what controller library you want to use. I guess you might need to change if you've got issues with your controller, but I don't, so we're going to ignore that. CHD manager is CHD was first introduced, I guess, by MAME, and it stands for compressed hunks of data. So it's basically where arcade machines have either CD images or hard drive images for game content. So the CHD is an image, a disk image, or disk image, but in a compressed format, but without losing any quality or data. So now a lot of emulators are now supporting it as well. So things like PS1, which obviously was a disk-based system, if you got an ISO copy of a game that's quite big, but with CHD you can sort of shrink it by sort of 40% or something like that, and save a lot of space if you've got a large collection. So this is basically gives you a little utility to convert ISOs to CHDs, and then also, so you do ISO Q to CHD, and you convert back to the way you can do a CHD back to a bin and queue format. Do a one-off, or you can do a batch conversion and say, look at this folder and basically convert everything inside it. Even if it's zipped up, you can unzip it and do it. And there's some configuration here of what version of CHD man to use, and that CHD man is what comes with MAME, so you should find that within your MAME folder. Collections. So this is where you can put together some manual collections. So you can create one, give it a name. Also, you can do collection through RetroBat as well, but you can do it here. So you can then go through and search and find a game and add it. So Blood and Justice. Let's add selected games. So there's a little trace window cop there. No, that's not important. But basically, you can create a collection. I've now got a new collection that will appear in RetroBat called that, but I'll just delete that for now because I don't need that. So that's that one. BIOS checker coming soon. So again, you can do this through RetroBat itself. You can do a BIOS check to make sure you're not missing anything. And there's also then a changelog here to show what's been updated. I think there was one point in the past. I'm not sure when they updated it, but for RetroBat, for the Bat GUI to work, it would have to be, you'd have to have RetroBat in a certain folder, because it had to be configured to know what folder to look at for RetroBat. I think that's now been changed, so you can, if you move RetroBat from one drive to another, Bat GUI still works, which was I guess a limitation in the past, but not anymore. So yeah, that's Bat GUI. Again, slightly off topic, but it's another way you can actually edit and manipulate your artwork. Like I say, that just lives in the root of your RetroBat folder, and the INI they're referring to is the RetroBat INI here. So these are all the same settings around whether to play an intro video or not, whether to do the game list only, whether to put it into kid mode or kiosk mode, all that kind of stuff. If you run it windowed, you can tell it what resolution window to run in, which is what I've got set at the moment, so it's easiest for recording. But anyway, so I think that's about it now. I'll stop now. I've been going on for quite a while, but that's basically how to do scraping inside and outside of RetroBat, how to do it other ways. So hopefully that's covered everything. Of course, as usual, any questions, just ask. Obviously, I do try and answer all the comments here on YouTube, but they're a bit harder to track. It's much easier if you want to jump onto our Discord server. We've got over 800 members there now, which is really good. Lots of like-minded people that can help each other out, have suggestions. So yeah, a really good platform that is now. I've got a Facebook page as well, which has got a couple hundred people on it, but the Discord seems to be the most popular place. So yeah, if you've got any questions, any feedback, any suggestions, yeah, jump on Discord. And obviously, if you've not used Discord before, it's completely free. It's just another chat utility, social media type platform. But basically just around chat is what it is. So a Discord server is basically a chat room, effectively, with some different areas to go in. One for RetroBat, one for general support, all that kind of stuff. There's an FAQs bit in there, there's information about the build in there, link to documentation. So yeah, all good stuff. So yeah, come in there and have a chat and give some feedback or ask questions. Please like and subscribe to the video. It really helps the channel. The channel, trying to sort of grow it bigger and bigger. It's doing okay, but could always be bigger. But yeah, so yeah, please like and subscribe, then you won't miss any future videos or any future announcements around sort of add-on packs for the build. But yeah, I'll shut up now and let you get back to it, and I'll catch you on the next one.